Ezekiel 36 verse 25. Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and ye shall be clean. From all your filthiness and from all your idols will I cleanse you.
My first visit to the steamie, as we called it, I was 18 and I was married and I hadn't a clue. So the first time I went, I was very apprehensive and quite frightened because the women, to me, that were in it looked kind of tough looking. I'm saying, my God, if anyone says anything to me, I'll burst out greeting. But however, I managed, and that was the start of quite a long association with the steamie.
The first visit I had at the steamie was with my mother, and we stayed in Partick, and the steamie was across the street for us, and I would be about 12.
My memories go back to 1974-75, when I moved here with no washing machine and somebody recommended the steamie, which I'd never heard of because I lived in Lanarkshire and there wasn't a steamie. And I came down, bring the kids, and they was told, you get a ticket telling you what your time is, and there's no children allowed. So I started coming when my children went to the swimming round the corner in a club. I came round, and it was a lovely experience in the sense that I was quite lonely at the time because I hadn't anybody much to talk to other than two young children, and I found the steamie was marvellous. In fact, maybe I should have kept on coming when I got a washing machine, but that's really my experience of the steamie.
Oh, I can't remember, it so long ago, I'm old.
There was arguments, definitely about the drying and the amount of washing or whatever and how long they were going to wait and all this, you had to stand your ground sort of thing.
My mother had a yearly ticket. It was every Tuesday, and you had 2 tubs and a boiler, I think it was. And you done your hand wash and all that in these tubs. And then you took your washing, you put it in the wringer. You took it for the wringer and you hung it up in these big, have you seen them? These big, well, you used to hang your washing up there, and that was it. But I loved the steamie, it was great.
When you go the first time, you fight about the horse. And some folk will go and they'll try to take extra ones. You go, no, we've been waiting as well. We want the horse as well. You can't take 3 and people have got 9. It was like that. If you were stupid, you were stunned like an idiot. See, maybe I'd be an idiot now, but I was young then, so I wasn't an idiot then.
Isaiah 1 verse 16. Wash yourselves, make yourselves clean, remove the evil of your deeds from my sight, cease to do evil.
It must be a most gratifying sight to all who have at heart the welfare of the poor to see 100 or more women at work in a well-appointed public laundry. For here, in a few hours, they can do a week's washing and drying, saving all the discomfort and misery of washing day at home. This was the kind of pomposity you could hear from the so-called city fathers in their condemnation of the poor not keeping their person and households clean when they were surrounded by industrial pollution, forced to live in dire accommodation, living on top of one another, alongside their diabolical working conditions. Many people arrived in the city from villages and small towns to stoke the industrial fires. These recent rural dwellers had no access to the fresh streams or ponds that their ancestors had used to keep themselves clean for centuries. But to the beggar and the king, clean linen's a reviving thing, though both these plagues don't reach. The beggar strips at Yokond morn in some clear stream, and on the thorn spreads out his rags to bleach. The king, great man, sends all his out, not caring for a single clout, But what's more happy still, he's not obliged to count the rags, nor stuff them into canvas bags. Oh no, nor write the bill. But what still troubles more my mind, amid such plagues at once to find, the washer, as she rings, cracking some jest, and o'er the tub pauses a while, and every rub with pleasure sweats and sings. I hate, I must confess, all dirt, and truly love a well-washed shirt. But once a week this reek is more than flesh and blood can bear, and him I hate, oh, make his share a washing every week.
The Victorian domestic ideal regarding the family as a haven from harsh and sinful. They were always going on about the sin and all. Psalm 15:10. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me.
The Victorian domestic ideal regarded the family as a haven from the harsh and sinful public world and assigned to women the role of moral guardian, who is to be the embodiment of Christian purity. The identification of women with the home and family and men with work was so powerful and pervasive that the social origins of the division became obscured so that it appeared as a natural phenomenon.
Oh, you never get any help for your husband or anything. They were always somewhere in the pub or somewhere else, you know. Just used to get the stuff on a pram, the washing has in the baby's pram and take it. But the men never lowered themselves to do anything.
My family are modern women and they have no 2 minutes to pass the time of day with you hardly, because they all go out to work. They all run their children in cars to here, to there, to the next place, which when my children were wee, I walked them from Albert Avenue down here. We went to the local church, they went to the local guy. We didn't think of cars to go places. I think the young people today, with their extra time in their hands, I don't really think it's extra time. I think their pace of living is quite horrific to me.
Hush, my wandering, there will be time enough. 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 There will be time enough.
The sky with clouds was overcast, the rain began to fall. My wife, she beat the children, and raised a pretty squall. She bade me with a frowning look to get out of the way. The deal a bit o' comforts there on the washing day, for it's thump, thump, scold, scold, thump, thump away. The deal a bit o' comforts there on a washing day. My Kate, she is a bonny wife, there's none more free from evil, except upon a washing day, and then she is the devil. The very kittens on the hearth, they dare not even play. Away they jump with many a thump on the washing day. For it's thump, thump, scold, scold, thump, thump away. The deal a bit of comforts there on a washing day. On that fatal morning when I rise, I make a fervent prayer unto the gods that it may be throughout the day quite fair, that not a gown or handkerchief me in the ditch be laid, for should it happen so, egad, I'd catch a broken head. For it's thump, thump, scold, scold, thump, thump away. The deal a bit of comforts there on a washing day. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. An avoidable error in which something good is eliminated when trying to get rid of something bad. The same could be said for many of the decisions made by the so-called city fathers past and present, as they rush to change standards yet again and enforce new improvements in public well-being. for it's thump, thump, scold, scold, thump, thump away. The deal a bit of comfort's there on a washing day.
Ding 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 ding.
Ill health is caused by the nature and character of the population and from their filthy and dissolute habits.
I don't know if I'm right in saying this, that people can be too clean, because when I was young it was tenements, climbing top of the midden, falling off the midden, falling backwards off the midden, and I really believe I was immunised against a lot of things because of where we played. I really do believe that. I think now they get too clean, but maybe that sounds silly to most people.
They've grown up with all these modern conveniences. When I had my 2 kids, I just done their nappies in the sink and stuck in the pool, and you put papers down and dripped it all night because you couldn't wring it out. And that was just the way it was.
Oh, young mans wouldn't do that now. Mites wouldn't do that now. And I mean the 50-odds. Oh no, they've got their washing machine, the dryer and everything like that. See, they'll no do hard work now. I'm telling you, they'll know.
All I can say, it was a marvellous thing to have. Saved an awful lot of hard work. Without a doubt, definitely made things healthier and cleaner.
Psalm 51 verse 7. Purify me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow.
I went to Bath when I was young, when I lived in Kinnan Park, and I used to go to Somerton Road. We used to go to Bath there. But after that, I never ever went swimming. Well, I was married at 18, that was, then I had kids, so I didn't get time to go to Bath. Only time to go to the steamy.
When I entered my heavenly home, I believe I will find the ultimate house beautiful, since my home should be an earthly picture of the heavenly pattern. I am motivated to maintain in a clean, orderly fashion.
Ding 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 ding
This is my great-grandmother in 1896, 50 years after the Public Baths and Washhouse Act was passed through Parliament. She stood with the rest of the girls she worked with at the bleach works out in Barrhead, where I grew up, as did my grandmother and my mother. 4 generations of women, all fae Barrhead. Now, in terms of cleanliness being next to godliness, it doesn't come much cleaner than bleach. And while there actually is not a verse in the Bible that states cleanliness is next to godliness, this phrase was first recorded in a sermon by John Wesley in 1778. But the idea is ancient, found in Babylonian and Hebrew religious tracts. It is still invoked often as a reprimand to wash or clean up. Proverbs 31 verse 27 describes the godly woman as looking well to the ways of her household. I'd like to share with you my personal theory of things skipping a generation. You know how things can skip a generation? So we have my great-grandmother, Mary McLachlan, dousing her hands in bleach, breathing bleach, inhaling it in 6 days a week. Meanwhile, her daughter, my gran, Annie McKelvey, became renowned for her lack of good housekeeping. In reaction to growing up with that, my mum became rather hyper about tidiness and cleaning, and cleaning, and cleaning. Picture me, age 3, walking knock-kneed with my crumbs caught in my pinafore, waddling towards the bin. And I guess that caused me to flip and to react in opposition. I'm a slob, basically. In later years, when she was no longer fit to climb the stairs, my mum was convinced I'd moved into a tap dancer, a top-floor tenement apartment that I'd moved there on purpose. Never mind the hotel inspector, we're talking tenement inspector. Not to mention her continued horror at the fact I could never hang out a washing. And I don't just mean I'd no access to air drying facilities, I mean I couldn't hang out a washing satisfactorily to her high standards. Then, after we'd banned Mum from going outside to hang washings in her garden, now it was her on unsteady legs. She would still get to her bedroom window to bang down at my slapdash system of not hanging the towels in order of size, or to point out a rogue tea towel hanging among the pants. Mum always did want to move up in the world, and we did, for a while, into a proper big old cottage. A cottage where my gran, 60 years before, played in the washhouse at the bottom of the garden with the wealthier little girl that lived in our cottage at the time. We then lost that cottage and had to move back into a council flat, back to arguing over washing lines, lapping over the wrong clothes pole, and whose drying day was when. How tenuous life can be at times. At times it can feel like you've been hung out to dry. This expression originated around the late 1960s, about the time that automatic washers and dryers were starting to be made accessible to a general public. Those without an automatic dryer would hang their clothes on the line outside, abandoned to the elements. They might get damaged by wind or dirt. People left out to dry also were abandoned to their fates.
It is liable upon any section of humanity that they love dirt for dirt's sake. Accuracy and personal uncleanness.
To say that they love dirt for dirt's sake. It is the want of occasion and the want of means which may induce people to acquiesce in personal uncleanliness.